The next eagerly awaited patch for Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 has been released. It's the patch 8.0 update known as the Siege update, and today we're going to go through all the patch notes but also talk a little bit more about the new mode and my thoughts on the patch in general. Starting off then, this update does include the free content, the new PvE mode Siege, as well as some new cosmetic rewards. There's also additional skins and cosmetics as part of the DLC packs. These concern the Blood Angels and the White Scars chapter pack. In terms of new features, as mentioned, the new PvE mode Siege expands on the existing PvE operations. It's set on Kadaku and it's where you're going to face endless waves of enemies, including Tyranid and Chaos. After every 5 waves, you'll face a boss battle. In total, there's 15 waves of increasing difficulty throughout Siege mode. If you want more information on the mode, there'll be a separate video on the channel covering it in more detail. Something that's been added is the option to disable bot spawns in private modes. Also, there's an RTAO experimental feature that's been added to the in-game settings, as well as DLSS4 for better upscaling multi-frame generation for those that use Nvidia cards. There's also new Season Pass content, the White Scars Chapter Champion, the White Scars Chapter Weapon Skin Pack, the White Scars Chapter Customization Pack, and the Blood Angels Customization Pack. In terms of game balancing and tweaks, there's now an extended weapon arsenal in PvE, such as adding the Thunderhammer for the Bulwark. By picking this weapon, it won't allow you to use the Storm Shield. So an interesting note within the patch notes was a message from the developer. We're not done with the Bulwark and more interesting gameplay things are to come, so do expect further changes to this class. There's also been a Terminus update for absolute difficulty. A second Terminus can now appear during the mission. Carnifex, Neothropes and Hellbrutes have increased health when playing on Absolute, with level specific Terminus enemies having their health points increased by 66%. More enemy packs will appear upon Terminus enemy spawn, and these additional packs also will include more extremist enemies. An example given in the patch notes, missions like Decapitation didn't allow any Terminus spawns, but now they will. It's not a huge difficulty increase, but it will be a noticeable one. There is a full explanation from the developers within the patch notes, and it goes on to explain why they don't have 2 Terminus enemies in operations at the same time. I do think that this is a good change, especially if you play in smaller squads. Don't get me wrong though, it will still be an intense battle, but you do stand a little bit more of a chance. There's also been updates to prestige perks across all of the classes. These include some name changes as well, so do be aware of them. All of these perks are on your screen, but just as an example, the Assault class had boosted recharge as its perk. It's now been reworked, it's now called Unyielding Oath. And the old perk was when collecting an armor boost, it restored the ability charge by 100%. But now, when charging a ground and pound, you become invulnerable for 3 seconds. So as you can see, it's been slightly reworked. There's only been one class that hasn't had a significant change, that being the tactical class, where instead of having a reworked perk, it's just had a bug fixed that prevented the player from gaining maximum ammo. So those were the prestige perks, now the class perks, and again all classes have seen some change or another, with perks being either updated, reworked or buffed. Perks have been updated to reflect the addition of the Thunderhammer to the Bulwark's arsenal. If you're running a Bulwark in your squad, other classes will have had to have been adapted to balance the gameplay. These class perks, as mentioned, are across all the classes: Bulwark, Tactical, Assault, Vanguard and Sniper. I have put a summary of all of these on screen for you, but if you want to read a little bit more detail on them, I'll leave a link to the full patch notes in the video description. Weapon perks have also seen some tweaks, specifically the Inferno pistol with the No Fear perk, which has been changed from when your health is low, reload speed was increased to 30%. Reload speed is now 20% if your armour is depleted. The Neo Volkite pistol's combustive momentum perk has also been buffed, with its heating speed increased by 30%. So it's these sorts of little tweaks that have been seen throughout all the perks in this update. Last thing here then, just some combat quality of life changes. You can now use the Assault's jump pack to dodge a sniper shot. The Neothrope's Warp Storm Afterblast could stun lock a player. It no longer does this. The Afterblast will still damage the player, but you're still able to move. Also, Neothropes have a slightly longer delay between their shots, again giving you a little bit more of a chance when you come to face them, especially on some of those harder difficulties. Overall, combat responsiveness has also seen a lot of fixes to some of the minor issues, and the patch notes don't actually state what those minor issues were. There has been some little changes though to the firearms in PvE. The bolt pistol, for example, has had its spread decreased by 50% and the velocity of spread within the mini zoom state decreased by 15%. The Inferno pistol's gun strike has seen its damage increased by 20%. PvP has seen some small fixes to level geometry and minor fixes to private lobby gameplay modifiers. In terms of AI, Spore Mine's explosion damage has been reduced by 55%. That's quite a significant decrease. Also, sticking with the AI, there's been minor animation fixes as well across multiple enemies. It is interesting to know in terms of in-game customization, the Chapter Champion armor parts will be available to be used in other classes within a future update, with the developers stating that they're expanding the customization system. Red, white and blue weapon skins have been added as siege mode rewards. Prestige rewards shoulder pads for the left shoulder. The left pauldron decal for the Ultramarine Sergeant has also been added, and there's been minor fixes to certain customization parts, especially ones concerning armour and emblems. Levels have also seen some small fixes within geometry collision, especially when it comes to terminus enemies getting stuck in certain areas. In terms of overall general fixes, there's quite a few of them, but a lot of them are issues that have been flagged by the community. For example, an issue has been fixed where spore mines could spawn on top of the player. There's been a fix for several cases where contested health may decrease when you perform a finisher. The developers do state that the Intimidating Aura and Battle Focus are the most overpowered perks right now, so that's clearly something that they're aware of and something that they're going to probably keep their eye on for future updates. Xbox Series S players will have noticed that the game freezes or goes to a black screen at the end of PvE levels. That has been fixed, so your game shouldn't lock up anymore. There's also been a fix to where some pickups were inaccessible. There's been camera fixes, especially if you've performed a finisher. Minor animation fixes, minor UI, sound and visual effects fixes, as well as some improvements. Like with all patch notes, there's been crash fixes, general stability improvements, matchmaking network fixes, minor memory optimization, and in this patch, one of the big ones, improvements to game modding capabilities. Previously, game modding was stripped away from Space Marine 2, but you were still able to do it, but you had a watermark in the top corner of your screen. It seems like now developers are a little bit more accepting of people who want to mod. So that was the patch notes and some of my opinions for the Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 patch 8.0 Siege update. What are your thoughts on it? Leave them in the comments below and let's open up the discussion. As mentioned, if you want to learn more about Siege mode itself, there will be a separate video posted on the channel and a link to it at the end of this one. Leave this video a like and share if you found it useful. And if you want more content within this game, there's plenty more videos on the channel for you to discover.